Hey guys, our devotion today is from 1 Kings chapter 16. But before we get into that, I want to remind you today we are in prayer for Leonard and Beverly Clark. So let's remember to be in prayer for them. So last time in 1 Kings chapter 15, we had that great breath of fresh air with King Asa, a king who wanted to live in obedience to God and do what pleased him. Well, we see things go downhill quickly from there. And this chapter is just chaos. It's just one bad king after the other. This king ruled and that king ruled. Omri and Zimri. There's one king in there, I think it's Zimri, that only rules for 7 days before he gets taken out, and the next guy rules in his place. And none of these kings could care less about what the Lord wants. They do what they want to do, and none of them are pleasing to the Lord. It ends up with King Ahab, which, I mean, he's just the worst of the worst as far as this line goes. He does more evil than any of the other kings before him, and it's really setting up the stage here for the call of Elijah and Elijah and their confrontation with this king, and how God is going to call this king to repentance. So it's setting up that story for us over the next few chapters. I think that what stood out to me, I mean, amidst all this chaos that's in this chapter, one of the things that it calls out Ahab for, specifically makes note of it, is his choosing of Jezebel, him taking Jezebel as his wife. Well, why is that such a bad thing? Well, we already know that they weren't supposed to take wives from foreign countries because those wives worshipped foreign gods. And the king doing this was specifically bad. What we're going to see is that Jezebel is going to draw his heart further and further away from the Lord, and he begins to worship Baal and give himself over to that. The term Jezebel is actually brought up again in Revelation when God is speaking to one of the churches. He talks about this woman, Jezebel, who is in the church and who is tempting people, drawing people into sexual immorality and the worship of false gods and idols. And I think just that character is representative to us of temptation, of the enemy who desires to draw us away from the Lord through temptation, calling us into sexual immorality, whatever it might be. And so I think, just as I'm reading through this today, I'm reminded that it's important for us to be aware of that. We do have an enemy, and the enemy may use people or anything in our lives really to try to draw us away from the Lord, to draw us into worship, to fulfilling the desires of our own flesh, to sexual immorality, whatever it may be. We really can't afford to put our guard down and to believe that we're not in a battle, a spiritual battle, and just think that everything is going to go along peaceful and hunky-dory, and that the enemy is never going to attack us. The enemy wants us to turn our eyes towards ourselves, our own desires, to get us worshiping anything and everything other than the Lord. And the enemy attacked King Ahab this way by his wife, by bringing Jezebel into his life, and she lured his heart away. And when you read in Revelation and Jesus is addressing this church, the same thing was happening there. There was somebody in that church that was luring their heart away. So I think it's a good opportunity for us to pray, Lord, protect my heart. Protect me. Keep me aware of the things that are seeking my attention, want my affection, things that are competing for you in my life. Protect me from those things. Give me clarity of thought. Give me discernment. But I appreciate this chapter today. I appreciate this passage, even though it's a difficult one to read. So many just disturbing accounts of these kings. It's not very uplifting, but it is a reminder that we are in a spiritual battle, and we have to keep our heads up. All right. God bless you guys. Thanks.